basically which gives members of parliament in committees time to look at the budget estimates. And this time they were rather busy because we were looking at both the supplementary estimates, supplementary 3, and the budget estimates for the next financial year, that's 2025-2026. And from that tells you that the first or priority business will be budget-related bills from the supplementary consideration of the reports of the Committee of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on both the supplementary estimates 3 and the budget estimates for the next financial year. Then you consider the supplementary estimates appropriation bill for supplementary 3, and also the appropriation bill for the next financial year 25-26. We also have the finance bill 2025, which was before the House and under consideration by the committee. That has been bill 2025. Then there's a division of revenue bill, which we must also consider and agree or disagree with the Senate. I anticipate that we may need to go into mediation because of figures that, from what I hear, Senate is proposing and what was agreed on in the National Assembly. Therefore, once we agree on the division of revenue, then we'll be able to go on and complete the budget-making process. There is also the county allocation of revenue bill. All these are budget-related bills, including the equalization appropriation bill for 2025. We also have consideration of nominees. You know, there is a National Police Service Commission nominees whose names were sent to Parliament when we were on recess. That will come up. There is a IEBC commissioners consideration of those names. And there also are tribunal on the Public Benefits Organization, Benefits Organization Disputes Tribunal, which the Chief Justice has also sent to Parliament for consideration. It's among the nominees that we'll be considering. I think other than that, and the reservations, of course, you remember the reservations that the President sent on the Conflict of Interest Bill and the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Amendment laws that the President sent back to the House. That is also lined as part of our priority business because we will need to consider those reservations by the President and pass a vote in one way or the other. There are bills that we carried on to the session just before the recess. The value added the VAT amendment bill of 2025, which was a small amendment from something of the last finance bill, the culture bill, National Council for Population and Development bill. And of course, there are also new bills that have come that we published over the recess, like the Virtual Assets Bill, the Kenya Roads Amendment Bill, which we just published before we went on recess and has been considered by the Committee on Roads and Transport. And there are the NADCO bills that were in Senate that have now been transmitted to us. That's just a tip of the iceberg of the very busy session that we have of about 5 weeks till we break for the next recess.
Okay, so on IEBC nominees, some of them are facing court cases. Some people went to court and said some of them are not qualified. So does that mean it's going to delay that?
You know, ideally, the names were sent to Parliament by His Excellency the President, and Parliament, when the Speaker receives the names, he sends them to a committee, the committee that will consider those nominees. And the committee has been going on with their work because you cannot stop people from going to court. But at the same time, you cannot stop a parliamentary process in between. And I think over the years, even the courts have agreed with us, and there is immense precedence that courts do not injunct Parliament from doing its work until the end of that process. And therefore, we are here to conclude that process. The names are still before the committee. The committee is considering, and we'll get to know from the chair of the committee whether the committee has been able to finalize with that process.
Okay, so the ruling of the court will be inconsequential? Or?
I am not saying it's inconsequential. I am saying courts do not injunct Parliament midstream.
Okay.
And therefore, irrespective of what went on in court, and I'm not even sure what was said in court, the committee had the names sent to them. And at least I do remember about two or so weeks ago, about 10 days ago, the committee did advertise for public participation, and I know members of the public have been also submitting memoranda in view of the ongoing process. Therefore, it's an ongoing process.
Okay. On Finance Bill 2025, the government, there are measures intended to finance the government's 4.34 trillion the budget. And you say there are adjustments to value-added tax. Are they going to be adjusted upwards, the VAT?
No, there are two different things. The value-added tax amendment bill of 2025 is separate from the finance bill of 2025.
Okay.
The VAT amendment bill is a small one-clause amendment correcting something that was done in last year's tax laws that stopped KRA from, or rather stopped people who are benefiting from certain exemptions, especially for capital projects, from continuing to enjoy the tax exemption beyond, I think, 31st of December 2024. And therefore, this VAT amendment bill is just giving that exemption a further period of 1 year to December this year, because these are people who had investments in the country, and these huge capital investments. And I've seen many of them, people who are in the manufacturing sector, and huge infrastructure projects that are ordinarily given tax incentives, because we are bringing in investments that are creating employment for Kenyans. And therefore, inadvertently, the tax amendment laws of 2024 that were passed in December last year restricted that period up to the end of the year last year. So it is just to extend that. The Finance Bill 2025, again, as I said, is under consideration by the Committee of Finance. I think they have also been doing public participation, and I expect maybe in the next week or so they should be able to be through and bring it to the House for consideration.
Okay, so Finance Bill 2025, is it going to have some more taxes? Or?
No, I think if you listen to the CS National Treasury, they said it is almost a tax-free finance bill. And, you know, I know there was a lot of propaganda before even the bill was published, even before the National Treasury finalized the process. And you remember the Honorable Leader of Minority raised it on the floor of the House because people had already started a campaign of disinformation and misinformation. Unfortunately, and I remember saying on the floor of the House, that is what happened, the fate that befell the 2024 bill. A lot of negative vibe and misinformation and disinformation was sold out there. Therefore, it was important that when the Leader of Minority raised that issue, we spoke out to it. And I saw even those who are very busy on TikTok and other social media platforms misinforming and disinforming Kenyans stepped back. I want to appeal to them. This, all bills before Parliament are public documents. You can simply click onto the National Assembly or Parliament's website. You'll be able to see all the bills before the House. Take your time, read. If you don't read, consult people who can help you to read and understand what is there, so that we end the culture of misinformation and disinformation.
Okay. There is also another bill by member for Aldai, Mary Kaitan, the Communication Information Amendment Bill, that is raising some controversy. Some people are saying that it violates the Data Protection Act. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to those critics?
First, you must understand that members of Parliament in their individual capacity as members of Parliament are at liberty, either on their own motion or on behalf of other interested parties out there, including their constituents, to propose privately sponsored bills. And the bill by the member for Aldai, Honorable Mary Ketanyi, is such a private member's bill. It's not a government bill, so I have really not paid keen attention to it being a private member's bill. But public discourse and engagement is part of legislation making, and that is why the Constitution and Article 108 provides for public participation. And Article, I think, 118 provides for public participation, for the public to engage. And therefore, all, again, I would urge is people to read, listen to the Honorable Member. I saw her in one of the stations last night trying to explain what she intends to achieve with the bill. And it's only when you listen and understand the import of anything that you get to know really what it is about. There will be an opportunity, because she's just made a proposal, a legislative proposal. It's not a bill that's already before the House. So when it is before the House, it will be read the first time, it will go for public participation, and every Kenyan has the right to make their proposals. And following public participation, because again, that is what I saw Kenyans never understood last year. You remember with the Finance Bill 2024, all the issues that Kenyans had raised that they were not very happy with had been removed from the bill of the Finance Bill 2024.
So it's about Kenyans are not reading it properly.
They did not understand the parliamentary processes. Because Kenyans, when the committee returned verdict on the bill and they said, for instance, tax on bread, we have agreed with the sentiments of the public during public participation that we do not need to tax our bread. We have agreed with the public that we do not need to impose a motor vehicle circulation tax, which, by the way, was even sitting in the wrong act of parliament. It was under the Income Tax Act, and a motor vehicle owning a motor vehicle is not an income. Therefore, naturally, that particular provision was dead on arrival in parliament. And therefore, the committee agreed with everybody who appeared before them, speaking about motor vehicle circulation tax, speaking about tax on bread, and all those things were removed from the bill. When we remove them, how do you remove certain provisions of a bill from that bill before it becomes a law or an act of parliament? Is by amending. And you remember, those on social media started a new campaign. Do not amend, reject. I mean, if you are not amending, then what legislation are you making? The process of legislation is about amendments. In actual fact, there is no law you create from the blues. Because, for instance, you've just spoken about that one by the member for Aldai. She is most likely amending the Kika Act, because there is already an act of parliament that exists. And therefore, what she'll be doing is looking at that act and proposing amendments. If there are certain provisions of that bill that you do not agree with, give your views during public participation. It is not the member who is proposing the bill who will decide what goes into the bill. It is a committee that will be listening to the members of the public, and they return that to the House with a report that you can read and see whether your sentiments were carried through. So last year, all Kenyans needed to do was to look at the Finance Committee's report and learn that every other proposal they had made during public participation was factored in the final report. And it is part of the amendments that were being proposed on the 25th of June, which they said reject. And I have said it before, Mark, that the bill as it were on June 25th, 2024, we passed it in December. Nobody got hurt, as they were saying. Nobody died, as we had seen before. Because the campaign of disinformation had dissipated, we passed the bill as it were in 4 different bills, achieving the same objective without losses to the country. More importantly, Mark, is that Kenyans had been misinformed. Oh, when this bill passes, you will not be able to afford diapers and sanitary towels. Kenyans are still buying diapers and sanitary towels. Because we tried telling Kenyans, we are protecting you young people who need jobs. Because the manufacturers of these diapers and sanitary towels are here in Kenya. We do not need to import diapers and sanitary towels from China, India, UK, the Americas. We are growing their industries when we are killing our own industries. But nobody was listening because of a campaign of misinformation and disinformation. They told us, oh, your cows will be taxed, your goats, your chicken, everything, your land will be taxed. Now, I dare ask Kenyans today, whose goat has been taxed? Whose chicken has been taxed? Or whose land has been taxed? And we passed the laws as they were. Therefore, it tells you the fallacy of the social media misinformation and disinformation. But unfortunately, because there are those who make a living out of that campaign of disinformation in the civil society and elsewhere, and those who are very active on those social media platforms, they are within their rights, but they should desist from misinforming Kenyans.
So I think members of parliament also need maybe to do more in sensitization.
Sensitization, and I think we took that challenge, and that's why you saw when we passed those tax laws in December, we started the process by the National Treasury first going out to the public and asking the public, submit your proposals. Fortunately, what people brought to the National Treasury as proposals is exactly what we had rejected in June. Manufacturers came and said, you need to protect our industries. You need to tax the finished goods that are coming from far Asian countries and Europe, so that you protect our local industries, so that we are able to grow our manufacturing, create more jobs locally for our young people. Unfortunately, it's the same young people who are being misused by the disinformers and misinformers.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa. You can now make your final remarks, because we are going to end the interview, the discussion.
Yes, we're about to begin the House also. Mine is just, as I said, to appeal to Kenyans to pay attention to what goes on in Parliament. Members of Parliament work as the people's representatives. We do what we do on behalf of the people. And there is no time that we will pass legislation that is detrimental to the well-being of our people. We always have to weigh between what is good for our people and what we need to do to get our country to grow. Trust us as your leaders that we will do what is right, and pay attention to what we do. Take your time and read and understand. What you don't understand, seek the clerk's office. The table office is open to members of public. You can simply just walk in, seek information, and you get that information. Or simply go to the website, send whatever questions you have to us, and we will be able to respond to you.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. That has been the Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, who is also the National Assembly Majority Leader, Kimani Ichung'wah, talking to PBU and briefing us on the priority business as the National Assembly resumes from around 3 weeks recess. My name is Tilio Marco, and we are now going to continue with the live broadcast of the National Assembly that is resuming today after 3 weeks recess. Na msikilizaji, tunaendelea kupata matangazo ya moja kwa moja kutoka bunge la taifa, na leo ikiwa ni
the live broadcast of the National Assembly this afternoon.
Fikishwe mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako siendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Can we have the quorum bell ringing? Sergeant? Owen?
The business of the National Assembly has just commenced, with the Speaker directing the quorum bell be rung so that members of the National Assembly within the presence of Parliament do make their way into the chamber this afternoon. At a time when the House is resuming business, we have the Sergeant at Arms busy calculating the number of members of Parliament in the chambers to get to see that the House raises quorum. But in the interview just concluded a few minutes ago, the leader of the majority party heavily spoke about misinformation on the Finance Bill 2025, calling upon Kenyans to read and understand the bill, and that the information is readily available about the House businesses on the Parliament website. But this Finance Bill 2025 is a bill that has...
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Chepkonga, take your seat, or the nearest seat. Honorable Hassan, take your seat. Thank you. Honorable members, I wish to welcome you back to the House from the just concluded long recess. I believe that you are geared up to embark on legislative business as the House commences the second part of the fourth session, which is characterized by the consideration of the budget and related business, therefore christened the budget session. Having said that, I am aware that the recess period was a working recess, given the enormous amount of time that you employed towards public hearings on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2025, and consideration of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-26. Honorable members, as we commence the second part of this session, the House will prioritize budget-related business, appreciating the strict statutory timelines therein. Specifically, the House will soon be considering the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the estimates of financial year 2025-2026. This will in turn pave way for the consideration of the estimates in the Committee of Supply and the attendant legislations, including the Appropriation Bill 2025 and the Finance Bill 2025. The House is further expected to consider the Senate amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill 2025, if any, and the count allocation of revenue bill upon receipt of the bills from the Senate. In addition, honorable members, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning is scheduled to make a public pronouncement of the budget policy highlights and revenue-raising measures for the national government for the financial year 2025-26 on 12th June 2025, in line with Section 40 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A. We have been notified that this date has been agreed to by the member states of the East African Community in line with the established practice of synchronizing the budget speech day. Honorable members, the timely consideration of the critical House business I have highlighted calls for your utmost dedication, and I urge each member to rise to the occasion so that together we deliver on the legislative mandate of this House in line with the Constitution. Additionally, honorable members, further to my earlier communication regarding the hosting of the 22nd National Prayer Breakfast, which was scheduled to be held on Thursday, 29th May 2025. This is to inform you that due to unavoidable circumstances, the event will now be held tomorrow, Wednesday, 28th May 2025, at the Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi, at 7 a.m. Consequently, the Women's Convocation and the National Conversation were also rescheduled to today and are ongoing. Today, the Tuesday, 27th May 2025, at the same venue. I'm aware that the arrangements for the successful hosting of the prayer breakfast tomorrow are at an advanced stage, if not ready, and I take this opportunity to once again invite all of you, honorable members, to come together to pray for our nation and to pray for yourselves. Honorable members, as you are aware, the first part of the fourth session ended on a sad note for the National Assembly and indeed the country, following the tragic shooting of the member for Kasipul, the Honorable Charles Ong'ondo Were MP, on Wednesday, 30th April 2025. The late member succumbed to injuries that he sustained after being shot at close range by a gunman on a motorcycle along Ngong Road in Nairobi. Following the shooting of the late Honorable Were, honorable members, I did notify the House and indeed the general public via notification number 5 of 2025, issued on 30th April 2025. Further, I appointed an ad hoc funeral committee chaired by the Honorable Peter Opondo Kaluma CBS MP. The committee ably coordinated Parliament's support to the family in the funeral arrangements that culminated in the befitting send-off that was accorded to the late Honorable Were at his rural home in Karabok, Homa Bay County, on Friday, 9th May 2025. On my own behalf and that of the House and the Parliamentary Service Commission, I extend our sincere gratitude to all members of Parliament and the parliamentary fraternity for supporting the family of the late Honorable Were in their moment of grief. Honorable members, as indicated in my notification, the National Assembly, condolences to his family, the people of Kasipul constituency, and all his relatives and friends for the loss of a gallant leader. May I urge the security agencies to ensure that the perpetrators of the heinous killing of the late Honorable Ong'ondo Were are brought to book and his family receives justice for the loss of their loved one. And for the members who accompanied yours truly to the funeral, I thank you very much for being there for your colleague. Honorable members, in honor of our departed colleague, the Honorable Charles Ong'ondo Were, I request that we all be upstanding and observe a moment of silence. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Take the nearest seats. Honorable members, I also wish to convey to the House that I'm sure you saw in the media yesterday that your colleague, member for Juja, the Honorable Koimburi, was that I'm sure you saw in the media yesterday that your colleague, member for Juja, the Honorable Koimburi, was reported by his family to be missing on Sunday. And yesterday there were news bulletins that he was found in some coffee plantation. Luckily, he was alive. And he was recovered and taken to one of the leading hospitals in Nairobi, where he is admitted and recuperating. I have this morning instructed the chair of the committee on security, the Honorable Tongoyo, to liaise with the IG and other security agencies, including the Minister for Security, so that they can be able to get at least some preliminary facts that can be brought to the House. I have been advised by the hospital where he is admitted that the family had given strict instructions not to allow visitors, although in the media we saw some visitors around the member, but we've been told that they are not allowing visitors, including people from, officers from DCI who wanted to visit to find out what may have happened. I'm told they were turned away. Be that as it may, I have directed the chairman of the security committee and the member for Turkana, is it North, Honorable Epuyo Nanok, Turkana West, who is the chair of a committee that the Honorable Koimburi also serves, to, in the course of this afternoon, visit the honorable member in hospital. I hope you'll be allowed to see him, so that tomorrow I give Honorable Tongoyo an opportunity to update the House on the situation of our member. I want to encourage the security agencies as they carry out thorough investigations in the fatal shooting of Honorable Ngondo Were, to also investigate the circumstances leading to the disappearance and reappearance of the Honorable Koimburi on the dates that I have mentioned, so that we get to know. In the meantime, I encourage all of you members, and indeed all Kenyans, to be conscious of your security and the surroundings and the people you associate with, wherever you are, so that you don't have your security at any one time compromised, leading to unfortunate incidents like the loss of life of Honorable Were and the disappearance and reappearance of Honorable Koimburi. I thank you. Honorable Tongoyev, you want to comment on this? Yes, sir. No, I've directed you go and visit him and bring the report tomorrow. Have you visited him? You will go with Nanok to visit him and bring us an update tomorrow. What you want to give us may be hearsay. I want you to get the facts right. Thank you, honorable members. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Honorable Bashir, take your seat. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I have a few short messages. The first is a message from His Excellency the President. Honorable members, this is a message on notification of persons, on nomination of persons to the positions of chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Honorable members, Standing Order 42.2 relating to messages from the President provide that if a message is received from the President at a time when the House is not in session, The Speaker shall forthwith cause the message to be transmitted to every member and shall report the message to the House on the day the House next sits. In this regard, honorable members, I wish to report to the House that during the recess period, I received a message from His Excellency the President relating to the nomination of persons for appointment to the positions of chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. In the message, His Excellency the President conveyed that in accordance with the procedure set out in Section 5 and the first schedule of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Cap 7C, and Section 3 and 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, he had nominated Dr. Erastus Edung Ethekon from Turkana County as the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and the following other persons as members of the commission: Ms. Ann Njeri Nderitu from Nyandarua County, Mr. Moses Alutalala Muhwana from Kakamega County, Ms. Mary Karen Sorbit from Uasin Gishu County, Mr. Hassan Nur Hassan from Mandera County, Mr. Francis Odhiambo Adwol from Kisumu County, and Ms. Fahima Arafat Abdallah from Lamu County. Honorable members, you will recall that on Friday, 9th May 2025, I issued a notification number 007 of 2025 in which I conveyed that I had received a message from His Excellency the President and pursuant to Standing Order 42.3c, referred the said message together with the certificate of presidential nomination and the CVs of the nominees to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. The committee was to undertake the necessary approval hearings pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 45 and the resolution of the House of 13th February 2025. I also directed the clerk to transmit the notification to all members of the National Assembly. And in this regard, honorable members, we shall wait for the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to notify the House as soon as it concludes the approval hearings. The House is accordingly guided. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Member for Turkana, the nearest seat excludes sprinting across the floor. Member for Vihiga, what is your idea of the nearest seat? Yes, Honorable Otienda Mola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in consideration of your communication, and it may not be in my place because my chairman is here, but I do not want to lose the moment. In respect of that, having forwarded the nominees to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. Mr. Speaker, I was hoping that you'd give a further direction in view of events that have since occurred. Mr. Speaker, Chairman Murugara let us know, and we were notified of a court case that was subsequently filed and a stay that was issued, and that the matter is coming up again on 29th. And that, I believe, has put the committee in limbo and has not therefore undertaken what it ought to have undertaken. And yet, the wording of Section 8 of the Act you've just referred to appears mandatory within 14 days. And I think, Mr. Speaker, therefore, you may have to give further guidance to us and the House. One, as to whether, in view of the wording of that decision, the entire process is suspended until determined, or two, in any event, whether time then stops running from the time that order was issued so that the 14 days are extended, or three, whether, depending on the decision that is made on Thursday the 29th, within the time limited, that process can still be undertaken. I'm hoping, Mr. Speaker, you'll give the House further guidance. Thank you.
And four, if I can help you, whether a parliamentary process can be injuncted.
Indeed, that I had canvassed that within the first one by saying whether in view of the nature of the orders given, the process can continue or be suspended. And I think that's the most fundamental one.
Absolutely, Senior Counsel. My mind is very clear. I'll give you direction tomorrow. And both yourself and the Honorable Murugara, and indeed your committee, may wish tomorrow after prayer breakfast, come to my chamber so that we can have some jurisprudential tete-a-tete. The second message, Honorable Members. Honorable Bashir, you look very mobile today. Can you take your seat? Thank you. Honorable Members, the second message is also from His Excellency the President on nomination of persons for appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission. Honorable Members, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 42, I wish to convey a message from His Excellency the President regarding the nomination of persons for appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission. In the message, Honorable Members, His Excellency the President conveys that in exercise of powers conferred on him by Article 246(2) and 252 of the Constitution and Section 6(5) of the National Police Service Commission Act Cap 85, he has nominated the following persons for appointment as members of the National Police Service Commission and now seeks approval for appointment by this House. Ms. Paris Mudhoni Kimani, nominated pursuant to Article 246(2)(2) of the Constitution, being a retired senior officer of the Kenya Police Service. Mr. Benjamin Juma Imai, nominated pursuant to Article 246(2)(2) of the Constitution, being a retired senior officer of the Administration Police Service, APS. Professor Coletta A. Suda, PhD, nominated pursuant to Article 246(2)(3 of the Constitution, being a person of integrity who has served the public with distinction. Honorable Members, Standing Order 45 provides that upon receipt of notification of a nomination for appointment, such nomination shall stand committed to the relevant departmental committee for consideration. In this regard, I hereby refer the message from His Excellency the President, together with the curriculum vitae, the report of the selection panel, and other testimonials of the nominees to the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security for consideration. Honorable Members, Section 6(6) of the National Police Service Act Cap 85 provides that the relevant committee of the National Assembly shall consider the nominees and table a report in the House within 21 days. In this regard, the committee is expected to immediately commence the approval process and notify the nominees and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings. Thereafter, upon conclusion of the hearings, the committee should table its report on or before Wednesday, 11th June 2025, to enable the House to consider the matter within the statutory timelines. Honorable Members, the next message is a message from the Senate on approval of nominees for appointment to the board of the Central Bank. Pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 41(4), relating to messages from the Senate, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from the Senate dated 7th May 2025 regarding the approval of nominees for appointment to the board of Central Bank of Kenya. The message conveys that by a resolution made on 7th May 2025, the Senate approved the appointment of the following persons as members of the board of Central Bank of Kenya: FCPA Sophie Moturi, CPA Abdullahi Mohamed Abdi, Ms. Beatrice Kosgei, and Mr. David Simpson Osawa Owor. Honorable Members, you recall that the approval process for the nominees to the position of members of the Board of Central Bank of Kenya was jointly conducted by the respective committees of the Houses of Parliament. You will further recall that on 30th April 2025, the National Assembly approved the appointment of the nominees, and in this regard, the approval by the Senate now concludes the bicameral approval of the appointments and the appointing authority has since been notified and the House is accordingly guided. The last message, honorable members, is a message from the judiciary. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Musa Sirma, take the nearest seat. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, the message from the judiciary is on the nomination of persons for appointment as a chairperson and members of the Public Benefit Organizations Disputes Tribunal. Honorable members, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from the Honorable Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court of Kenya regarding the nomination of persons for appointment as chairperson and members of the Public Benefit Organizations Disputes Tribunal. In the message, the Honorable Chief Justice conveys that in accordance with the provision of Section 50 of the Public Benefits Organization Act 2013, she has appointed the following persons as chairperson and members of the Public Benefits Organizations Disputes Tribunal and now seeks the approval of the National Assembly. Ms. Eunice Adoyo Otieno Arwa, chairperson. Ms. Christabel Mideva Eboso, member. Ms. Elizabeth Mbithe Mulwa, member. Dr. Leonard Kinyulus, member. And Mr. Mohammed Sheikh Noor, member. For clarity, honorable members, Section 50 of the Public Benefits Organization Act 2013 provides, and I quote, "There is hereby established a tribunal to be known as the Public Benefits Organizations Disputes Tribunal, which shall consist of members appointed by the Chief Justice and approved by the National Assembly as follows. A chairperson who shall be an advocate of the High Court of Kenya of not less than 7 years standing, 2 advocates of the High Court of not less than 5 years standing, 2 persons having such specialized skills or knowledge necessary for the discharge of the functions of the tribunal." Honorable members, Standing Order 45.1 provides that upon receipt of a notification of nomination for appointment to a state office or such other office, the nomination shall stand committed to the relevant departmental committee of the House for consideration. In this regard, I hereby refer the names together with the CVs and other testimonials of the nominees to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to undertake the necessary approval hearings. Honorable members, whereas the Public Benefits Organizations Act 2013 does not expressly provide for the timeline within which the House considers the respective nominees, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act Cap 7F requires the committee to which nominations are referred shall consider the matter and table a report in the House for debate and decision within 28 days. In this regard, therefore, the committee is directed to expeditiously commence the approval process and notify the nominees and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings. The committee should table its report by Wednesday, 18th June 2025 to enable the House to consider the matter within the statutory timelines. I thank you. Next.
Order number 5, order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Right here, sir. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. A, legal notice number 195 of 2024 relating to the Public Finance Management Public Officers Medical Scheme Fund, Regulations 2024 and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. Being Legal notice number 38 of 2025 relating to the Central Depositories, Regulations of Central Depositories, Amendment Rules 2025, Evidence of Stakeholders' Engagement and the Explanatory Memorandum from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. C. Legal notice number 88 of 2025 relating to the Code of Conduct for Media Practice 2025 from the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy. D. The agreement between the Government of the Republic of Singapore and the Government of the Republic of Kenya for the elimination of double taxation with respect to taxes on income and prevention of tax evasion and avoidance between the Government of the Republic of Kenya and the Government of the Republic of Singapore from the National Treasury and Economic Planning. E. Submission of nominees for the National Government Constituencies Development Fund for the following constituencies, Honorable Speaker: Banisa, Bomachoge, Butere, Buri, Embakasi Central, Galole, Ganze, Garissa, Ijara, Jomvu, Juja, Kabuchai, Keiti, Kamukunji, Kilifi, Kilome, Kimilili, Kuria East, Lagdera, Loima, Lugari, Matayos, Matungu, Moyale, Msambweni, Muhoroni, Mvita, Nyali, Nyando, Nyaribari Masaba, Nyatike, Rabai, Rangwe, Samburu East, Sotik, Suna West, Taveta, Teso North, Tongaren, Turukana Central, Turukana West, and Vihiga. Honorable Speaker, I thank you.
Chairperson, Committee on Regional Integration. Who is the chairperson? Irene, go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 27th May 2025. Report of the Committee on Regional Integration on a study visit to the European Union and the European Parliament from the 9th to the 13th of September 2024. I thank you.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Junet Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of adjournment of the House on definite matter of urgent national importance to discuss the threats by the former Deputy President on the recurrence of post-election violence in the country. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 331, I seek leave for the adjournment of the House for purposes of discussing a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding the threats by the former Deputy President on the occurrence of post-election violence in the country. Honorable Speaker, on 16th May 2025, while attending an interview, the former Deputy President was on record alluding to a recurrence of the post-election violence experienced in 2007-2008, arising from alleged planned electoral malpractices in the upcoming 2027 general elections. The former Deputy President issued veiled threats and calls to violence, which left unchecked are likely to endanger the security and the well-being of our nation. Given the recommendations of the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, TJRC, and the Commission of Inquiry into the Post-Election Violence that led to the persons being taken to The Hague, it behoves the House to discuss and condemn any person dreaming or aspiring to take the country to the dark days. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek leave for the adjournment of the House to discuss the matter of great national concern. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Of the requisite support. The support is overwhelming. I will take your seats, honorable members. I'll direct that this matter be disposed of in the shortest time possible, and I'll allocate 1.5 hours to the motion starting 4 p.m. this afternoon. In the event we get to 4 p.m. and we are still having business like statements, they will be stepped down. You got the motion, and then thereafter we can proceed with what is left of the other businesses. Thank you. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's Gallery a recognition of staff from the Parliament of Ghana. I wish to introduce to you 2 staff members from the Parliament of Ghana who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. The officers are on a week-long benchmarking visit to Parliament, collaborating with our Directorate of Legal Services to enhance the capacity of the legal officers in areas relating to comparative legal frameworks, governance and law reform processes, technology and innovation in legal service delivery, committee support systems with legal frameworks, and judicial processes and practices. Honorable members, on my behalf and on behalf of the House, I welcome the members of staff from the Parliament of Ghana, and as they say in Ghana, Agwaba. Agwaba members means Karibu. Take your seats, members. Honorable members, also in the Speaker's Gallery, I acknowledge St. Teresa's Bikeke High School from Kiminini, Trans Nzoia. In the public gallery, the students, when your school is mentioned, you stand up for acknowledgement, then you take your seats. Very good, you can now take your seats. In the public gallery, we have Tengecha Boys High School from Bureti, Kericho, Ndururumo High School from Laikipia West, Laikipia, and Siungi Secondary School from Mwingi Central, Kitui. I've been requested by the Honorable Member from Mwingi Central to welcome the school from his constituency, and in the same vein, Honorable Mulyungi, you can welcome all the other students on behalf of your colleagues. 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome all the schools which are here to Parliament, and in particular my school, Siungi Secondary School, which I work with. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage all the students who are here to work very hard so that one day they can aspire to be members of Parliament and senior public officers. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Member for Kilifi, Gertrude Mbeyu. Honorable Member for Kilifi, she's where? Is Gertrude Mbeyu in the house? I don't think she is. Statement dropped. Honorable Amina Muyanzi, member for Malindi. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of the Standing Order 42C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health regarding the impact of the recent withdrawal of US aid funding on healthcare financing in the country. Honorable Speaker, on January 20th, 2025, US President Donald J. Trump issued an executive order titled Reevaluating and Realigning United States Foreign Aid. The order imposed a 90-day pause on all US foreign development assistance programs to allow for comprehensive review. This decision has disrupted billions of dollars earmarked for health, education, and development worldwide, with no exemptions for essential health programs such as the Presidential's Emergency Plan for AIDS relief. Honorable Speaker, access to healthcare service is not only a right guaranteed under the Article 43 of the Constitution, but also a vital driver of economic growth, public health, and environmental sustainability. USAID has historically been a major contributor to Kenya's health sector, funding programs in HIV/AIDS treatment, malaria prevention, and maternal health care. Notably, over 25% of the country's annual HIV-related health budget relies on US government funding, and direct US support accounts for 29% of the HIV medicines available in the country. Unfortunately, all USAID health programs in the country are scheduled to end by September 2025. The resulting funding gap threatens to disrupt life-saving treatments and services, directly impacting thousands of patients across the country. It is projected that 54,000 healthcare workers could lose their jobs, while institutions such as the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority face deficits amounting to Kenya shilling 600 million, hampering the availability of critical medical supplies essential for both prevention and ongoing patient support. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the following. 1. Report on the measures being undertaken by the government to address the impact of the recent withdrawal of USAID funding in Kenya, which has previously supported critical health sectors such as HIV/AIDS treatment, malaria prevention, and maternal care. 2. Current status of essential drug supplies for all the critical sectors supported by USAID, including whether there are sufficient stocks available, and indicate how long these supplies are expected to last given the current national demand. And 3, the immediate and long-term action plans by the government to mitigate the negative effects arising from the USAID funding withdrawal, including ensuring uninterrupted healthcare services for the affected populations. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair Health. How much time do you need to bring a response?
Under 2 weeks, we will get the response.
Under 2 weeks?
Yes.
So you can do next week?
I can do next week.
Okay, Thursday next week. Amos Mwago. Amos Mwago, member for Starehe. Third time, Amos Mwago, statement dropped. Honorable members, I'll have a reorganization in a small way of the order of business so that I'm sure members, you have seen your supplementary order paper so that we can go to order number 8 for the majority leader to move a procedural motion. Thereafter, do first reading at order number 9 and 10. Then we come back to the statements. So read out.
the live broadcast of the National Assembly this afternoon.
I want to bring to the attention of the House, Honorable Speaker, a specific entity like KBC, whose accounting documents, Honorable Speaker, for 5 years is missing. In between an audit year of account, they don't have records for a full 5-year period. Honorable Speaker, it defeats logic to say a corporation does not have documents to be audited by an Auditor General. This is a big issue, and Honorable Speaker, it's important that this House adopts this report so that we can enforce the issues to do with filing of documents to the Office of the Auditor General. Honorable Speaker, in that aspect, we recommended, therefore, that the accounting officers should comply with the provisions of Section 68, Part 2 of the PFM Act, especially 2012, which requires that they must submit the documents for audit within the particular years, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, cross-cutting issues also that we saw among the 5 state agencies was poor governance and weak internal controls. There were delays in appointments of the board of directors. Honorable Speaker, there is a tendency by the executive to delay appointment of board of directors of the various state corporations, and particularly what we noted was the issue of KEMSA did not have substantive board chair since 9th of October 2015, following the expiry of the second term of the chair, and did not have a substantive chief executive officer from 1st January 2017 to 30th June 2018. Honorable Speaker, it defeats logic that a state corporation can exist without a chair, and yet we needed to spend, we needed to be accountable. And moreover, like the issue of KEMSA, where there was no chair, no CEO for a period within which we are stating, Honorable Speaker. Further, Kenya Veterinary Board's tenure for the Board of Directors dated 20th March 2021, and a new board had not been appointed as at 30th June 2021. Honorable Speaker, that's a big variance that required we need to have a board in place. Honorable Speaker, what did we do? Our recommendation was within 3 months upon adoption of this report, let the Inspector General, Inspector of State Corporations, with the help of National Assembly, should initiate the process of amending the State Corporations Act to make it clear that no entity should be allowed to make any financial commitment without properly constituted board. Honorable Speaker, there were also matters pending in court that were cutting across. The committee observed that a number of litigations concerning ownership of land, the state corporation, and other legal matters have been pending before the courts of law for long period of time, despite resolution of the House through previous PIC's reports. Honorable Speaker, you find so many, out of all these 5 state agencies, they have matters in court which are dating back some to 2008 to date, and they've not been resolved. Honorable Speaker, as a committee, we felt in our recommendation that the Inspector General's Inspectorate of State Corporation to carry out a review of all entities with pending court cases, prepare a comprehensive status report, and submit to the National Assembly with a copy to the Attorney General, who will initiate the process of fast-tracking the conclusion of the cases within reasonable time, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there is also the cross-cutting issues on delay accountability of interest. The committee noted that some state corporations were in breach of Section 71 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and in their attendant regulations that require surrender of interest within 7 days upon conclusion of the assignment for which the said interest was issued. Honorable Speaker, what we saw cutting across is that most of these agencies take as long as beyond 7 days. Some take 2 years, some had even 4 years without surrender of interest. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, where the state agent has not surrendered interest, the committee recommended that the accounting officer, to ensure interest advanced to officers is surrendered within the stipulated period, and the Honorable Speaker, that within 6 months of the adoption of this report, the accounting officers who will have failed to take necessary steps to ensure that all outstanding interest within their jurisdiction are recovered from the due date should be surcharged the full amount due. Because, Honorable Speaker, the onus of collection of interest is by the accounting officer. And if the accounting officer fails to recover the interest, Honorable Speaker, let him be surcharged. Honorable Speaker, Let me now look at the specific issues that affected specific institutions. Kenyatta National Hospital, Honorable Speaker, had issues with unconfirmed borrowing balance. Honorable Speaker, the issue was addressed in the previous PIC. However, as contained in the 24th PIC report. But Honorable Speaker, the National Treasury and the KNH were yet to reconcile. Despite the fact that it had been captured in the 24th report, they were yet to reconcile and come up with a true figure of the status of the loan. It has taken, Honorable Speaker, a loan which was taken in 2006 to have the subsidiary grant agreement to be converted from an on-lend loan to an on-grant loan, Honorable Speaker, that was fully signed on 4th of August 2022. However, Honorable Speaker, the board's approval for passing the necessary book entries to correct the anomaly in the financial statements was granted in September 2022. Honorable Speaker, there was also the issue of land under property, plan and equipment, Honorable Speaker. There is a parcel of land, Honorable Speaker, at Kenyatta National Hospital that was excised off the main land of KNH. The committee observed that the plots were irregularly, Honorable Speaker, excised and allocated to third parties in previous years. The matter was discussed in the 19th PIC report, but Honorable Speaker, National Land Commission was yet to effect the recommendations of PIC. Honorable Speaker, the second issue on the issue of land under KNH was that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Honorable Speaker, had taken up the investigation of the land on the for said land, but it had not finalized on the matter, Honorable Speaker, as at the date when we are reporting this PIC report. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we felt further to the 24th report recommendation that within 3 months upon adoption of this report, the accounting officer of the National Land Commission, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Inspector of State Corporations, KNH itself, Honorable Speaker, and the Committee on Implementation to fast-track, Honorable Speaker, the process of implementing the committee recommendations in the 24th report. In the 24th report and our report thereon. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, combining the resolutions of this report together with the report of the 24th PIC report to be fast-tracked since they are the same. Honorable Speaker, there is also the matter of inconsistency in depreciation of assets. Honorable Speaker, the hospital erred in applying the reducing balance rate of 30% instead of the prescribed straight-line method of depreciation, which misrepresented, Honorable Speaker, the carrying value of computers and related accessories. Honorable Speaker, in the next report which we'll be looking at, this effect is there, such that, Honorable Speaker, the hospital adopted the straight-line, adopted, Honorable Speaker, the reducing balance method of depreciation, which brought most of the assets to zero. And Honorable Speaker, without anticipating debate, this observation is reflected in the next report where they depreciated assets, Honorable Speaker, to 1.4 million shillings. And an asset of 146 million was sold at 1.4 million shillings. It is in the report that's going to come. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what do we say? Our recommendation, Honorable Speaker, is the committee reprimands the then accounting officer and then officers in the accounting and internal audit departments involved in preparation and review of the financial statements for failing to adhere to the requirements of IPSAS, that is International Public Sector Accounting Standards, as prescribed in the PFM Act Cap 412A. Honorable Speaker, the hospital as well also had unconfirmed NHIF fund receivable balance, which is now, Honorable Speaker, the reconciliations between NHIF, what the NHIF was demanding, and themselves, Honorable Speaker. This reconciliation is yet to be finalized. It's yet to be finalized, Honorable Speaker, despite the fact that, Honorable Speaker, NHIF is now collapsed into SHA. Honorable Speaker, the next agency we looked at Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Because of the many issues, Honorable Speaker, I had on KNH, I had to go now to the next issue, next agency. Honorable Speaker, the other agency we looked at as Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, that's KEMSA. In specific issues, we have issues with the staff costs. The committee observed that a similar audit query had been raised in 2016-2017, and our current observation, Honorable Speaker, are as follows. One, the board had approved establishment of 341 staff, and in financial year 2016-17, the KEMSA had 329 in-post staff after receiving 40 more in financial year 2017-2018. The post figure stood at 324 against an expected staff figure of 369 if no staff had exited. However, KEMSA did not provide any documentary proof that the 45 staff had exited KEMSA in 2017-18, either through retirement, natural attrition, dismissal, or resignation. This could lead to existence of ghost workers. Honorable Speaker, we went through and came up with the following recommendations: that within 3 months upon adoption of this report, the Auditor General should carry out a comprehensive special audit on the staff and payroll of KEMSA for a period of 5 years for 2017-18 to 2021-22, both years inclusive, to establish the status of staffing and report to the National Assembly on the findings. Should the report establish any irregularities, then accounting officers should be reprimanded and held accountable for any financial losses during their tenure. Honorable Speaker, there was also the issues that we picked up on expired drugs. That, Honorable Speaker, a similar issue, which is recurring year in, year out, was cited by the PIC in 2016-17 and discussed in the 22nd report. However, our committee, Honorable Speaker, notes as follows: that one, the expiry of drugs was not due to breach of contractual terms, but due to change in drug regime, indicating that poor planning by KEMSA. The agency should ordinarily know which drugs are obsolete and which drugs are going to be introduced into the market. Honorable Speaker, KEMSA has the ability to know when is the drug going to expire, but they decide, Honorable Speaker, to have one way of disbursement of drugs, such that if that way is not observed, then they cannot do any other way. So, Honorable Speaker, by virtue of being rigid in decision, it caused the agency, Honorable Speaker, to have a huge stock of drugs which are expired. Honorable Speaker, KEMSA cannot even go on its own way and say this medicine or drugs which are about to expire might be donated, might be given to any needy institution. Instead, it has to go one way. I think the opinion of the committee was, Honorable Speaker, that KEMSA needs to be versatile and observe that likely challenge. KEMSA indicated that they had devised strategies to determine the demand of drugs from across the counties, which included constant engagement and collecting data to avoid the expiry of drugs, as well as other strategies, such as prioritizing on shelf life of drugs. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what did we recommend instead? The committee then feels that the accounting officer should be reprimanded for laxity in minimizing wastage of public funds, though procurement and stocking of expired drugs. Honorable Speaker, it's a decision of the accounting officer to know for how long is he procuring the drugs, and the drugs are being procured whose shelf life is of a particular duration. That, Honorable Speaker, within 3 months upon adoption of our report, the Auditor General should carry out a compliance audit on procurement of drugs, stocking, accountability, and the destruction of expired drugs by KEMSA for a period of 5 years from 2017-2018 to 2021-2022. Honorable Speaker, that within 3 months of adoption of this report, the management of KEMSA should submit to the National Assembly a copy of the documented strategies approved by the board and the Principal Secretary, State Department of Medical Services. Honorable Speaker, what also has come out of the
the inquiry we did on the board expenses, Honorable Speaker, was the issue of the board expenses. Honorable Speaker, the response by KEMSA was too general rather than addressing the specific audit query raised on sitting and lunch allowance, Honorable Speaker, of 1.6 million shillings paid to 4 board members, which were not supported by invitation letters and minutes of the meetings held. Honorable Speaker, 2, KEMSA has continued to experience serious governance issues arising from deliberate lack of substantive office holders as indicated. KEMSA has not had a substantive board chair since 9th of October 2015, following the expiry of the second term of the then chair. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, what do we recommend now that they did not have the chair, but they went ahead and spent money on the board expenses? Honorable Speaker, our recommendation is that the committee then reprimands the CS for failing to bring to the attention of the appointing authority the vacancy of the board chair and the CEO. There was both lack of the board chair and there was also no CEO within those times of period. Honorable Speaker, that within 3 months upon adoption of this report, the PS Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Inspector of State Corporations, should ensure that the then accounting officer who authorized the payment of the sitting and lunch allowance at 1,660,999 to the 4 board members, which were not supported by invitation letters and minutes of sitting held, is surcharged for the amount so paid. Honorable Speaker, there was also the issue of land that we observed in KEMSA, that the committee observed as follows. The agents are taken time to register the title deed, despite having the necessary documentation in place. The situation has not changed over 7 years now. Down the line, the committee was concerned that KEMSA had engaged Priority Management Limited as conveyancing experts through KTK advocates to handle the issue in the financial year 2012-2013, but so far nothing positive to show with regard to the land ownership documents. Honorable Speaker, KEMSA had engaged the services, professional services, but to that date of audit, there was nothing, yet those professional services had been paid for. The lawyers contracted to register the leases and title deeds for lands belonging to the KEMSA as per the second PIS report had been paid approximately 2 million shillings then for the titles registered. However, the total payments to debt could not be established, and the consultants or lawyers could not have had to draw money from KEMSA with no corresponding services rendered.
Honorable Wangwe, I think that's a convenient point to disrupt your moving of the motion. You have 37 minutes to go. I'll request, direct that you stop there as a convenient position, reorganize your thoughts for the next continuation, and call upon the minority leader to move the motion of adjournment. If the motion of adjournment is allocated 1.5 hours, so it will be done by 5:30, then you'll proceed from where you have stopped. Thank you. Junaid Mohammed.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move motion of adjournment on a definite matter of urgent national importance to discuss the threats by the former Deputy President on the recurrence of post-election violence in the country. Honorable Speaker, I rise under Standing Order 331 to address a grave and urgent matter that threatens the very peace and unity of our nation. The incitement of citizens to post-election violence by political leaders, especially by the former Deputy President. Honorable Speaker, our country has made significant strides in strengthening our democratic institutions since the painful memories of the 2007-2008 post-election violence. We have built a constitutional order, Mr. Speaker, anchored in our Constitution, which provides lawful, peaceful, and democratic mechanisms to resolve electoral disputes. Let us not undo that progress, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Article 37 of the Constitution guarantees every Kenyan the right to assemble, demonstrate, and picket peacefully and unarmed. But that right ends where violence begins. No leader, including the former Deputy President, Mr. Speaker, has the right to manipulate public sentiments to incite unrest, destruction of property, or the loss of innocent lives. Honorable Speaker, we are all aware of the tensions that arose following the announcement of the 2022 general elections. We witnessed legal challenges filed in the Supreme Court, pursuant to Article 140, and we commend all parties who chose to pursue justice through institutional means, as is expected in a constitutional democracy. Honorable Speaker, be that as it may, in recent days and weeks, we have seen reckless utterances from the former Deputy President, utterances which, whether intentionally or by negligence or out of foolishness, have slowly begun to incite pockets of unrest in parts of this country, especially in the areas surrounding Wamunyoro and Wamadira area. Honorable Speaker, let it be known that words have consequences. And when leaders stand on podium or go live on national televisions and call for confrontation instead of dialogue, they betray the very people they purport to represent. Honorable Speaker, Section 13 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act, number 12 of 2008, criminalizes hate speech and incitement to violence. It is not a suggestion, it's a law. And that law must be enforced uniformly and decisively, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you will have his time to say something. Why can't he just wait? Yeah, you can oppose the motion. Honorable Speaker, we recall the sorrow with sorrow.
For the guidance of the House, Honorable Junet, you have 10 minutes.
Yes.
And every other speaker to the motion, 5 minutes.
Oh, Mr. Speaker. Yes. With a tie, but you're a madman, Mr. Speaker. That's what I've come to realize of late, Mr. Speaker. Because a leader of that type, a leader who wants to lead a political party in this country, cannot say, now what's happening, Mr. Speaker, he is almost making a region of this country look like an alien in this country. Very soon he wants to fence it off, like the Aberdare forest. That if you want to go there, you must get permission from him, Mr. Speaker. You cannot go and visit even your relatives there. You cannot even visit your people there, Mr. Speaker. You cannot do any politics in that area unless you get permission from him. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. This country has experienced this, and we will not allow it to repeat. We will not allow it, Mr. Speaker. Every Kenyan has a right to live, to do politics, to do business anywhere in this part of the country, Mr. Speaker. Whether you are in Migori, Kakamega, Busia, Nyeri, Muranga, Embu, that other place, Kilifi, anywhere you want to do anything in this country, there is freedom and guaranteed by the Constitution. So, Mr. Speaker, the other day, we have constitutional commissions that we have given ourselves in this country, like the NCIC, the National Cohesion. They have summoned the former Deputy President. He has refused to appear. He's above the law. He's above the Constitution. He said, I cannot appear in that commission. And that is a commission that is taxpayer money.
Give him 1 minute to finish.
Mr. Speaker, my time is 15, according to the standing orders.
10.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
Wind up in 2 minutes.
NCIC has summoned that suspect, Mr. Speaker. They have told him to appear so that he can answer to the allegations of inciting people against each other. He has refused to appear. Mr. Speaker, he's now trying to use human shield. He's trying to use people to commit crime, offenses that can take people to Hague to defend himself, Mr. Speaker. If he's invited by the DCI to record a statement, he refuses. If he's invited by NCIC, he refuses. If he's invited by EACC, now who's going to protect us from this monster, Mr. Speaker, called Rigathi Gachagua? Who on earth is going to protect us from this monster, Mr. Speaker? Who's going to protect us? Because the government looks like it's unable to take an action against him. Mr. Speaker, if this government was formed by ODM, this man would have been in jail by now, I can assure you. I can tell you for this one, without any fear of contradiction. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask Kenyans not to listen to insightful people, not to listen to people who want to divide them according to their tribes, not to listen to people who have formed regional, tribal, ethnic political parties, Mr. Speaker. The country and the Constitution does not allow formation of ethnic political parties or religion, Mr. Speaker. What this district commissioners party that has been formed the other day is an ethnic political party. You can see somebody talks about my community, village, Wamunyoro. Talk about Kenyans. Political parties are formed for purposes of enhancing democracy by bringing all Kenyans and all communities as part of that political party, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I want to use the strongest terms to condemn the former embattled, malicious, impeached Deputy President, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request the majority leader to second me.
Yes, Gogoyo. What is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise understanding order number 35. Mr. Speaker, the House does not have quorum to transact business.
Clerk, how many members do we have? We have 38, 39 members. We need 11 more members. Yes. Ring the bell, the quorum bell, Sergeant. Yes. But we have enough members there, they will come. Yes. I'm coming to Order, honorable members, we now have quorum to transact business. Honorable Majority Leader, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And let me take this opportunity first to thank the Leader of Minority for this motion of adjournment, which I fully support. Because, Honorable Speaker, you remember in the run-up to the impeachment of the former Deputy President, I quoted a good friend of mine who described somebody as having a very black heart. And I dare add today, this is not just a man with a black heart, but a very dark soul. And a dark soul, Honorable Speaker, to the extent that this man believes that the death of Kenyans, the bloodshed that this country witnessed in 2007, as unfortunate as it was, Honorable Speaker, that he can equate the death and bloodshed that was occasioned on innocent Kenyans as a Christmas party. This, Honorable Speaker, tells you that this is indeed a man with a very dark soul. Honorable Speaker, you may have a dark soul and believe in death and celebrate death, the death of innocent people, as if it is a Christmas party, as you say, and anticipate that even after the next elections, there will be more bloodshed, Honorable Speaker. And I said over the weekend, Honorable Speaker, when you harbor such thoughts, such dark thoughts, such black thoughts, such evil thoughts, you do not deserve to be a leader anywhere, Honorable Speaker. You do not deserve to be a leader anywhere. Honorable Speaker, this is somebody who now pontificates as if he's God. You heard him over the weekend telling artists who sought his help when he was holding high government office to sort out the issues that they have had with their copyright issues with the Skiza tunes. But he had no time for them. But now he wants to commandeer who they will sing to, what songs they will sing, when they will sing, and how they sing, Honorable Speaker. That unless they are singing songs of praise to him, they should not perform. Daring that even businesses, Honorable Speaker, owned by entrepreneurial, hard-working Kenyans, very good entrepreneurs who have established clubs, that now he's inciting Kenyans to storm those clubs and destroy them because an artist who he does not like is performing in that club, Honorable Speaker. This is a height of evil minds and evil thoughts by an evil man who sees nothing good in this country except that which satisfies his insatiable greed. Greed that even public coffers could not satisfy, Honorable Speaker. You have seen him admonish other leaders because of empowerment programs that are empowering the same people who we advance a bottom-up transformation, economic transformation agenda, Honorable Speaker, because they are being supported by leaders now who are utilizing resources in the right way. But, Honorable Speaker, when you're in high office and you use public resources to acquire private resources, Honorable Speaker, even stealing from your own family. Honorable Speaker, if you find somebody who can steal from a widow and orphans, Honorable Speaker, these are things that were tabled here during the impeachment process. How he forged the will of his late brother, a hard-working former governor of Nyeri, disinherited the widows and the orphans of the family, and used his high office to intimidate and threaten that family not to speak, Honorable Speaker. Thank God that this House rose to the occasion to save not just that family, but the country against the machinations of a very evil and dark soul, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'll take you back to the events of last year. Kenyans will remember on the 25th of June, after what happened, Honorable Speaker. the kind of incitement they saw from the same person, because he believes in bloodshed, that unless people die, he cannot achieve his mission, Honorable Speaker. Let us say, Honorable Speaker, from the floor of this House, no other Kenyan will die to satisfy the insatiable greed of a dark man with a dark soul and a very evil mind, Honorable Speaker. And no Kenyan should ever die for politics. I want to agree with Honorable Junet that when we said that never again, we should never ever again entertain the politics of bloodshed in this country. The last elections, Honorable Speaker, vindicated the Kenyan people, that the Kenyan people are a people who believe in one unitary nation. A nation that cannot be divided by the insatiable greed for power and material wealth of one man, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was saying Kenyans across the board voted for the Kenya Kwanza government. Many Kenyans voted for the Azimio coalition, irrespective of their ethnic background, Honorable Speaker. There were many Kikuyus that voted for Raila Odinga because they wanted a better Kenya. There are many Kikuyus, many Luos who voted for William Ruto because they believed he had an agenda for Kenya, Honorable Speaker. Yet now we see a man who wants to take this country back, not just to the politics of ethnic balkanization and ethnic mobilization, Honorable Speaker, but to the backward thoughts that is only through bloodshed and death that you can achieve what you want, Honorable Speaker. We must, in one accord as a House, not just condemn, but ask the government of the Republic of Kenya, and more so the Inspector General of Police. I know he hails from Madera also. But he must apply the law without fear or favor, Honorable Speaker. I saw in the news last night, Honorable Speaker, them saying that the lawyer has written to NCIC. NCIC did not summon a lawyer. They summoned a person who is not above the law. And the law must take its due course. And I want to encourage the NCIC Commission to get the help of the Inspector General of Police to enforce the law as it is. When you are summoned by NCIC, a constitutional commission, to answer to charges leveled against you, you must appear. And if you don't appear, Honorable Speaker, action must be taken. Otherwise, if we take that route, Honorable Speaker, what will stop anybody tomorrow from inciting Kenyans on the basis of ethnicity or whatever you like to kill and slaughter each other, Honorable Speaker, with abandon? The law must take its course, and nobody, Honorable Speaker, is above the law. And I want to repeat, nobody is above the law in this country, Honorable Speaker. Whether you are Junet Mohammed, whether you are Kemadi Ishongwa, or whoever you think you are, who the hell do you think you are that you can celebrate the death of Kenyans, calling it a Christmas party? Shame on you. Shame on you that you can describe such unfortunate incidents. And let me finish by telling you, 2027 elections, Kenyans now know you better. Kenyans now can see clearly why this House, with over 300 members, voted to impeach you. Close to 360 members voted to impeach, 284 members voted to impeach you. Because these members knew you were a danger, not just to the society and the nation of Kenya, but even a danger to yourself, a danger to your own family. Shame on you.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kumsupport ndugu yangu Hamad Junet kwa kuweza kusema kuwa Kenya ni yetu sisi sote. Mheshimiwa Spika, inasikitisha kuwa Bwana Gachagua hajakubali kuwa hayuko kwenye mamlaka tena. Na mimi nataka nimwambie, ikiwa kitu kitatolewa kwa Wakenya wote, iwe ni injustice, lakini kikitolewa sehemu moja, iwe ndio furaha yake, basi anakosea Wakenya. Nikikumbuka mwaka ambao aliutaja kuwa, na kwa nikimnukuu alisema, hii Kenya, ikiwa mtu mwingine yule ataingia katika uongozi, basi itakuwa ile 2007 2008 ili kutakuwa ni kama harusi, ile itakaofanyika itakuwa balaa zaidi. Jamani, huyu ni mtu kweli? Huyu ni mtu kweli? Na mimi nataka nimwambie Gachagua, hii nchi si yako wewe peke yako. Usipotoshe wa Kenya, ulikuwa katika serikali. Ulikuwa ukituambia wewe ndio mlinzi wa mlango. Ulikuwa ukituambia vitu vinavyofanyika viko sawa. Leo hii kwa utepetevu wako uko nje, kwa kunyang'anya mjane haki yake, kwa kunyang'anya mayatima haki zao, kwa kuweka ile siasa za shares, Wakenya wakasema toka nje. Leo unaanza siasa za kugonganisha Wakenya. Nakumbuka hapa na naona kama ameshikana na Ndindi Nyoro, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi nataka nimwambie kuna siku hapa nililalamika kulikuwa na disaster, mambo ya floods kule Mombasa. Nikalia sana hapa, hatukupata pesa za disaster funds, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na hapa alionambia Zamzamu njoni kuonyesha, ilikuwa ni Ndindi Nyoro. Akanionyesha 14 billion ya World Bank ambayo ilikuwa ofisi ya Deputy President wa wakati ule Gachagua, akanambia meziramba. Akanionyesha 6 billion ambayo ilikuwa katika budget, huyu Ndindi Nyoro ndo alionionyesha, akanambia Gachagua meziramba. Leo yeye ndo anarudi huku nyuma kwa sababu waambiwa nyani akikosa ndizi usema mgomba umeteleza. Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani. Kama wao ni wenda wazimu, waache wale ambao wana akili zao waweze kuongoza Kenya. Leo tuko na Deputy President anafanya kazi, anazunguka huku na huku, tunaona anafanya maendeleo na Wakenya wanafurahi. Raisi, sisi hapa tulikuwa tunampinga. Na leo tumeaibika. Kwa sababu gani? Ile housing levy tulikuwa tunalia, leo tumeona Mkuru kwa Njenga, watu wameingia kwa majumba, wametoka kwenye slum, Mheshimiwa Spika. Ilikuwa ni uchungu kwa sababu hii Kenya ilikuwa uchumi umekuwa mbaya na kila mtu alikuwa anasikia uchungu wa uchumi. Lakini mimi leo nataka nimpongeze rais kwa sababu alitufinya ndio, lakini sasa tunaona yule maskini tajiri wote wanatibiwa. Tunaona nyumba maskini tajiri wote wanakaa vizuri. Unga sasa umeshuka bei, mafuta yameshuka bei. Mheshimiwa Spika, rais anaipeleka Kenya vizuri kwa sababu amepata ile timu ambayo pia ina nguvu imemuongezea, na sasa yafanya kazi vizuri. Namwambia rais, usimwangalie yule mwendazimu ulomfukuza kule State House. Wewe angalia kazi yako, yule mwendazimu sisi tutadili naye. Na mimi namgoja Mombasa kule na ananijua. Hawezi kuja kutuchafua kule Mombasa, hatuwezi kubali. Tunataka Kenya ambayo ina amani. Tunataka Kenya ambayo itasonga mbele bila bugdha. Mheshimiwa Gachagua angalie, ajiite mkutano, ajiulize. Wajua yuko kama yule mtoto, Mheshimiwa Spika, ambaye wageni wakija unamficha kwa sababu ataharibu. Yule mpe mic tu kidogo, Mheshimiwa Gachagua ashaharibu kila kitu. Juzi ameenda kuchapa wale walikuwa na msupport ambao ni artist. Leo amewachapa, kesho atafanya mengine na mengine. Kwa hiyo sisi tunasema rais, shika kasi. Sisi tuko ndani ya broad based government na tutakusukuma mbele. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Osoro. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, anytime I listen to the former Deputy President speak, I can't help but to wish that there was another way to have him brought back to this house to be impeached again, the second time or even that time, Honorable Speaker. Because, Honorable Speaker, I do not know what one single individual, the kind of venom one single individual holds in his mind, Honorable Speaker. In 2007, that is being referred to by the Honorable Gachagua, Honorable Speaker, I was a university student, I was in the university, Honorable Speaker. But at the time that the skirmishes were happening, Honorable Speaker, I was in Molo as a rider, as a border rider, Honorable Speaker. And I remember, Honorable Speaker, being accosted by about 5 people, Honorable Speaker, who wanted me to speak in a certain language, Honorable Speaker, that I didn't understand. They took away my motorbike and I had to run, Honorable Speaker, for my life. I found myself, Honorable Speaker, in a petrol tanker that I didn't know then where it was going, only to find myself, Honorable Speaker, in Lunga Road, industrial area, Honorable Speaker. How can a person describe that, Honorable Speaker, as a Christmas party, Honorable Speaker? How can a person, and along the way, Honorable Speaker, as we were coming, as we were driving all the way from Molo, El Bago, Honorable Speaker, to the entire route, Honorable Speaker, we could see bodies of people splashed across, spread all over, Honorable Speaker. When a person stands, Honorable Speaker, and speaks in such kind of a language and says that, 2027, if this and this does not happen, and anytime the guy speaks, Honorable Speaker, his description is only about him. It's issues, it's about him. Honorable Speaker, I think it's about time that we advise him to see a psychiatrist, Honorable Speaker. He needs to see a doctor. He needs to do his mental check, Honorable Speaker. And I think doctors here should refer some very serious psychiatrists, Honorable Speaker, to see to him, Honorable Speaker. Because it's quite unfortunate that anything you speak is about your area. Anything you speak is about your village. Honorable Speaker, that is a disease I refer to villagitis. That when you wake up, the only place you'll have is one village. When you speak about one area. When you wake up, you speak, even the meetings you hold is from one village, Honorable Speaker. How selfish can an individual be? That any person that does not subscribe to your line of thought is an enemy. Your particular line of thought, be it artists who are working hard for themselves, be it politicians who are, engaged in political associations across, those are your enemies. How selfish can one individual be? From your family, from your home, you are selfish. Where you take over everything that belongs to the late brother's family, Honorable Speaker, because taking advantage of the position that you had. Now, in the political scene, you are extremely selfish. That if you see artists visiting a deputy president, a sitting deputy president, a serving deputy president, Honorable Speaker, you take offense and go out there, complain about them, and rant about them. Honorable Speaker, it's about time we call out the NCIC, we call out the National Police Service, we call out the IG for selectively, for being selective on matters law, Honorable Speaker. Because it's about time Wamunyoro be arrested. The Honorable Gachagua should be behind bars for the statements that he made. If those statements, Honorable Speaker, were made in the previous regime, perhaps somebody would be running up and down, Honorable Speaker, with a battalion of lawyers. I think we are too tolerant. I believe even the independent bodies in the Constitution are becoming too tolerant, and they are going to affect this country. I mean, that you are being summoned by a body, a constitutional body, then you refer them through a lawyer, then and tell them, I can't attend, you are this and this. And then when you get arrested, you say it's political persecution. Regarding Gachagua, he should be a state guest, Honorable Speaker, latest this weekend. That is a state guest. He should be charged. He should be charged for incitement. He should be charged for, under the NCIC laws, Honorable Speaker. He should be charged, Honorable Speaker, he shouldn't be allowed to run up and down, Honorable Speaker, talking venom and spitting venom and calling everybody all kind of names, Honorable Speaker. These dramas, Honorable Speaker, must come to an end, especially now that we are heading to the election, Honorable Speaker. I beg to support Honorable Junet. Thank you very much.
Honorable Otiende Omolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think if any Kenya doubted why we impeached the former deputy president, now they are clear that it was legitimate and proper. For the more he speaks, the more he acts, the more he invites actions for impeachment in any other circumstance. Madam Speaker, it is sad to refer to 2007 and to threaten that we could go back there. In 2007, we came to the brink of the precipice. We came to as great a disaster as we possibly could. And it took the backing down of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga for us to continue as a state and as a nation. No one should refer to those events. And to do so is dangerous. It is because of 207 that we now have a constitution that prohibits that kind of conduct, that kind of speech. It is an express limitation to the speech. It is because of that that we even had Agenda 4 commissions. It is because of that that we created the NCIC. And it is because of that that we have EACC, CAJ, Kenya National Human Rights Commission, and others. Madam Speaker, this is not just about politics. This is about our country. Madam Speaker, it is important to note that we, as a House of Parliament, impeached the deputy president. Some people do not remember that one of the grounds cited was failure to uphold the dictates of the office under Article 75(2)(c). Under 75(2)(c), once you are removed from office, then Article 75 3 comes automatically into play. And that is to say that you can no longer hold any other state or public office. We did not pronounce ourselves on that because at the time we were focusing on the question of impeachment. I think, Madam Speaker, now, what we should address ourselves to now on this matter brought by Honorable Junet is how do we now invoke Article 75(3) that now pronounces that the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua can no longer hold state or public office. That is when these things will reduce. And I invite you, Madam Speaker, that through the Speaker's communication, it might be important to guide this House, whether we can do so by way of a petition, or whether we do so by way of a special motion, or whether we do so by way of a special inquiry by the House as the House, so that we pronounce ourselves on that matter. This is important, Madam Speaker, because while the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua went to court and sought to stop these whole processes, the court did not find merit in that. And the court is desirous of going to the logical conclusion, including the declaration of unfitness to hold office. To preempt that, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has now withdrawn his petition. 2 things. 1, I want to urge this House, through its lawyers, to insist to the court to go to the merit of that matter. We want the court to declare whether Parliament was wrong or not, including fitness to hold office. But 2, Madam Speaker, I think at the same time, I think we need to re-examine that very matter. I want to say, Madam Speaker, that the NCIC is a body that was established for these very purposes. I have served as a commissioner. I never saw a day when anybody dared the commission in defiance of a summons. I think that is the height of impunity. If we were to go there, then we will no longer have a country, because we are all capable of saying a lot of bad things. I want to urge the NCIC to come of age and do what it needs to do. I want to urge that the NCIC must be shown to bite. Just 1 minute, Madam Speaker. You know, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua cannot say that I will not attend because there are others who have uttered things that they've not been summoned. Anyone who says such things should be summoned. But in law, you cannot say that I am not guilty because Otiende Amolo is also guilty. No, guilt is personal. Accept your own guilt and then let the others be dealt with. Just the way you cannot confess on behalf of the others. I want to say lastly, Madam Speaker, that this matter is so serious that it should not be left at the level of a general discussion as we are doing it. It must be concretized, because we found Rigathi Gachagua unfit to hold office. It is not just the court that can do that. Even a House of Parliament can do that, with the consequence that you cannot hold any other public office. I so submit, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Honorable Nyamita.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to also support this motion by Honorable Junet. Madam Speaker, where I come from, particularly in my constituency, we have families that buried bodies without heads. Madam Speaker, in my region, there are families that buried heads without their bodies. And yet in the same region, Madam Speaker, there are families that are yet to account for their loved ones. There are people whose children were butchered as they watched in Naivasha. There are people who have not recovered from what happened in 2007. Some had lived in certain regions all their lives, gotten their children, established businesses, and had their life all going very well. But because of the post-election violence, Madam Speaker, of 2007, they have never known home, because even when they went back to their homes, they found they had no land, they had nowhere to settle. Madam Speaker, today we have IDPs who are yet even to be compensated. They have even petitioned this particular House that because of the actions that happened in 2007, they need to be compensated. That hasn't happened. Madam Speaker, in this country, different communities live in different parts of the country. And I actually dare say that the community where the former deputy president comes from, members of his community are all over the country, in different parts of this country. They have established businesses there. They have established families there. They are running their lives from those particular areas. That a leader like that can come and say that whatever happened in 2007, 2008 is like a Christmas party. To imagine that such a leader would want to be elected and that we are going to have many other Christmases with such an individual. I think in this particular house, Madam Speaker, we have never felt vindicated. We feel vindicated that the action we took to impeach the mistake of a deputy president that we had, we feel completely vindicated. Even if we were to rewind time, we would still do the same. Madam Speaker, as if that is not enough, subsequent statements from this very gentleman, like over the last weekend, he is now almost dictating the uniform, even the dress code of the people from his region. He is dictating who you are speaking to. He is going to dictate which church you are going to. He is going to dictate which car you are going to drive. He is going to dictate what food. Madam Speaker, I just want to tell Kenyans that no one should listen to Rigathi Gachagua. He is not only dangerous to this country, he is even dangerous to himself. In fact, part of the allegations when they were brought here to the assembly were issues to do with him having grabbed property from his family. We feel vindicated. I sympathize with the people that are, every other weekend behind this gentleman and saying that this is a leader we want for this country. I can tell you, the current president might have his own issues. And I dare say that the president that we have now will not solve all our problems, even if we gave him 15 years. But he's putting us on the right path to how our problems in this nation are actually going to be resolved. I want to condemn in the strongest terms, and I want to call upon the police every single day, including yesterday, when Rigathi Gachagua says that the president has set up a killer squad, it means he knows he should be called to record a statement. He is not above the law, Madam Speaker. He is not above the law. In fact, I want to ask the leadership of this House, through you, Madam Speaker, that we call the Inspector General of Police to explain to us why is it that one Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua has not recorded a statement and he continues to make insightful statements across this nation. I submit and I support.
The Honorable Hamed Abdisirat.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to join this debate by condemning the utterances of the former Deputy President. Madam Speaker, it's a known fact that the Deputy President was impeached after he violated the Constitution of this country. We thought we have stopped this, a reckless person, but unfortunately, he has become more dangerous. This House has found that he was unfit to hold any office. But now we are also seeing he's unfit to live with the public, and he needs to be behind bars. We have laws in this, unfortunately, our laws in this country is applied selectively. If a small person commits small crimes, they are brutally arrested and charged. But when a figure, a leader, let me say, a reckless leader breaks the laws of this country, they are not taken to account for their actions. And that's unfair. Small crimes can be forgiven. But when somebody who calls himself a leader tries to blow off this country, tries to ban our country, he must be stopped. And I am appealing to our security agencies to arrest this gentleman and take him to court. I know some guys are fearing that maybe his community or this and that will bring something. We don't care. Kenyans are 42 communities in this country. And the law should be, applied the way it is, fair and square. Mine is to implore you, this House and the government, to take action before we lose our country. We have history of having violence in this country in the 2027. And it's known that we almost lost our country. We lost lives. We lost businesses and properties. Somebody is daring us that he's going to take us there because he wants to lead us through violence. We will not accept that. Elections, there is democracy in this country. You can win an election using the right processes, but we will not allow bloodshed and anarchy to win an election. It's not acceptable, and it cannot be allowed. Finally, Madam Speaker, if we allow people to go away with, such heinous crimes, what are we going to, show our youth? We were complaining about Gen Zs and others who are taking laws on their own hands. But when an old man is allowed to go away with such crimes, then we are the ones who are, taking this to them. Please, there is no other action other than arresting Rigathi Gachagua. He is unfit to hold any office, and he is even more unfit to stay with the public. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Rindikiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I join my colleagues in condemning the actions, utterances, and unqualified statement by one Rigathi Gachagua. Mr. Speaker, this country, courtesy of our citizens, gave Gachagua an opportunity to serve as the Deputy President of this country. For 2 years, Madam Speaker, Gachagua never outed anyone to support the government or to execute on behalf of the presidency and the people of Kenya any developmental activity. Mr. Speaker, what Gachagua is known for is only one, talking about Mulima. Talking about Mulima. That has been his speech for 2 years. Mr. Gachagua is known for amassing wealth for 2 years. He never spoke about the poor of this country. He never stood to prosecute matters relating to our children. He never took time to execute any matter to do with the mothers. He never took time to execute any matters to do with the whole members of this country. Mr. Speaker, now this man was impeached, and the only thing that he can do is continuously insult people. Mr. Speaker, Gachagua's history on the media is endorsing the president. Madam Speaker, Gachagua's statement on the media is endorsing members of parliament. Madam Speaker, Gachagua's statement is insulting the same mothers who gave birth to him. That whatever empowerment that we are doing, we are just spending money without taking consideration of his views. Madam Speaker, this man is so selfish that we know for the time that he was in government, his activities were only to purchase hotels, to purchase land, to purchase expensive things. That's what he has been doing. Now the tap has been closed. Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow him to turn this country into war just because it's okay. Madam Speaker.
Members, why are you raising your hands? Use your cards. Use your card. Continue, Honorable Ndikiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. No, the honor member is one of the followers, one of the battalion that is insulting Kenyans everywhere. Madam Speaker, today you notice that Mensah is known for organizing criminal activities. Madam Speaker, we know for sure this man is the one who organized the what is circulating in the media today, that one honorable member of parliament, Madam Speaker, has been hijacked, has been abducted. Yet he was with them an hour before that. Madam Speaker, he is known to run to hospital even when there was a matter of impeachment. Madam Speaker is the chief advisor of Honorable Koimbodi. When Honorable Koimbodi was insulting us, saying that we have been given money. Madam Speaker, we must insist this man at whatever cost. Madam Speaker, he is teaching Kenyan bad manners because he is a comfortable man. He is man who should not be encouraged in this country to continue doing what he is doing. Mr. Speaker, we have seen even he has some battalions in Meru. People who are given an opportunity to serve this country, who failed, who are impeached. Somehow they survived. But now they are teaming up together. People who have failed are the people that he is managing this country, his politics with. Mr. Speaker, we have seen with Mutuli, who is a failure. We have seen Litole, who is a failure. We have seen all other failures, who are the ones who are trying to manage this country. We will not accept this kind of politics in this land. Let Kenyans be given the freedom to operate, to manage business, to manage development, and we have no time for that kind of person. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I think as I listen to the discussions from my colleagues, we are discussing as if it's just bare facts. What we are discussing is crimes that have been committed by the former Deputy President. His crime are offenses that are set out in the National Cohesion and Integration Commission Act. And we even have past history where people have made utterances that were assumed to have been wrong and they were not even guilty, yet they were arrested. So my issue here is, I'm also calling upon the chairperson of NCIC, Reverend Kobia. Reverend Kobia must act and not allow people to get over it. Because if we remember, prior to the 2022 elections, I remember 300 police officers were sent to Uasin County to arrest Honorable Oscar Sudi for making remarks that were not even hitting to the threshold of the National Commission and Integration Act. It was the same Reverend Kobia. We expect him to act. Similarly, we remember that Honorable Linturi again made some remarks, and he was picked at night. Yes, he mentioned that word in Uasin Gishu, and he was picked swiftly by the police and ferried to Nairobi at night for arrest. The same thing happened to Oscar Sudi. Why is it that the former Deputy President has not been arrested? In fact, this House must hold the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to account, because they cannot have double standards when it comes to deal with people. You need to read the National Cohesion and Integration Act. And therefore, that is what we must say. And we, again, speaking as Member of Parliament for Uasin Gishu County, which bore the brunt of the post-election violence, we cannot allow anyone to mention that again. We made peace. The pastors and the old men had a meeting in Korusoi. That matter was settled, and we promised ourselves that we shall never mention it again. So on behalf of the people of Uasin Gishu County, we are very offended by the remarks of the former Deputy President. Because, in fact, statements have been issued by members of Uasin Gishu County where they said, we are not going to allow you to take us there. So such a person is not a leader. He's a criminal, and we should be discussing how we should have him arrested and charged for those crimes, contrary to the NCIC Act. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is important for us as a country to accept the truth, reality, and live the talk. Honorable Speaker, democracy is a process. Democracy is not an event. Honorable Speaker, an election is not conducted on the day of the election. It is a process. Honorable Speaker, many of us were here in 1992 when there were clashes after elections. Many of us were here in 2007, 2008 when the clashes happened. Honorable Speaker, and all those times, Honorable Speaker, they arose because some members were dissatisfied with the process leading to the final outcome. Honorable Speaker, I will be reluctant to bash anybody who raises a red flag. Honorable Speaker, a forewarned is a foreprepared. It is very insensitive for anybody in this country to believe that anybody who raises anything that could make better the management of the next election becomes a point to bash left, right, and center. Honorable Speaker, the danger we make in this country is to kill the messenger, hoping the message will go away. It is important we must listen. Even if the devil is talking to us, Honorable Speaker, allow the Kenyans to listen. There are obviously grievances. In the last election 2022, the charade that was Cherera for, I don't know, this category, is a matter, Honorable Speaker, should never be allowed to repeat in a decent and democratic country like Kenya. Honorable Speaker, therefore, as we debate here today, as we waste very important hours of parliament, that could have debated more important things, more important matters, talking about somebody who is a political entity, as the guys on the other side are talking about.
Let's listen to the point of order by... Yes, Honorable.
Honorable Speaker, I've been listening to a very eloquent and seasoned speaker in this House, Honorable Oundo. Please relax. I'm a very senior person
Ngongoyo, it's not
and
your
I have more
place to do my
experience than
job.
you in this House. Please chill. And he has mentioned to Kenyans that even when the devil is talking to you, you need to allow your family, children, and people to listen to the devil. I want to actually ask Honorable Oundo to withdraw that, because the devil is never good for your family, Honorable, neither your siblings and Kenyans. And if the devil is trying to talk to us, we must rebuke it in the spirit and using the name of Jesus Christ, that the devil must be rebuked out. Honorable Speaker, may he apologize because he's a Christian.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to let me continue and answer my in-law later as I conclude. Honorable Speaker, we must learn from history. Henry Kissinger said, a nation and its leaders that does not learn from history is in danger of spiraling into anarchy. Honorable Speaker, it will be unfair. It will be like putting an ostrich hiding its head in the sand, believing that what happened in 2007, 2008 cannot happen in this country, Honorable Speaker. We are misleading ourselves. We are lying to ourselves. Let us not kill the message. Let's not kill the messenger, hoping the message will go away. Let's prepare for the next elections properly, adequately, and sufficiently to avoid any point anybody anywhere will feel that the election have not been held in a fair, transparent, and verifiable manner. The election, the appointment of managers of election, Kivuitu said he did not know who won the election. We went into war. If Baba Raila Amolo Odinga did not restrain himself in 2022, when the Cherera said four said this was not an election properly done, we would have done into abyss. I beseech you, I beseech the country, please remember the message, regard the messenger. You have already killed the messenger. I'm so surprised that men are running helter-scared of one single man who has got no vote, who has nothing. Men, style up. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Nyikar is left. The Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support this particular motion by my minority leader, the Honorable Junet. And Honorable Speaker, even as I speak, I'm a very sad person. Because, Honorable Speaker, first of all, the former Deputy President needs to be sued for destroying the image of Christmas in the children of this country, equating the 2007 post-election violence to a Christmas party. Honorable Speaker, those of us who have family members that had their homes ruined in Kericho, they had to walk all the way to Nyamira. We had a family whose home was destroyed in Kisumu. They had to walk all the way back to Kisii because of what happened in 2007. Honorable Speaker, we have people, Kenyans who were in Naivasha, Kenyans who were in the Rift Valley, who lost their homes, some who got burned. Very serious things happened within that particular time. People are still suffering from the injuries, both emotionally and physically, that happened to them in 2007. So to hear the former Deputy President speaking about that that would have been just a Christmas party, he's already preempting to us as a country that we will go back to that kind of anarchy. Honorable Speaker, the children who were born in that year, 2007, are now turning 18 years old. You can imagine how that would feel to these children come the year 2027, and then we are told that whatever happened before will be like a Christmas party. And Honorable Speaker, I'm just imagining that this same person was summoned to go and speak to the things that he said, and he refused. He is not listening to the rule of law. He does not plan to obey the rule of law. What kind of example is that kind of leader giving to our young people in this country? Honorable Speaker, the reason why we have the Supreme Court in place, the reason why we have allocation for anyone who is aggrieved by the elections, by the general election to go to the Supreme Court, is because we are a country of rule of law. Kenya has been a very fantastic example to the rest of the African countries and the rest of the world in how we manage our political process. So, Honorable Speaker, as I speak here, I just want to really support this motion because I cannot imagine in any way as a country, as the young people of this country, that we can be taken back to what happened in 2007. And anyone who supports that kind of utterances, Honorable Speaker, I'd just like to say to them, shame on you. I support.
The Honorable Murugara, member for Tharaka.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also rise to support this motion, which is highly merited as we debate this afternoon. The correct position is that 2007 and early 2008 were years that we would not wish to actually remember. For the first time, because some of us were senior enough that time, we were in tears as we watched.
Order, Honorable Jane Kihara. The other members who don't have cards have come to request that they be given an opportunity. And if you're told to wait.
Madam Speaker,
may proceed, yes.
We may proceed because we believe the subject of this discussion is not alone in this, and we've been told that there are some of us who are actually suffering mental issues, and this is a demonstration of such one case possibly when you just go out of the house yelling and trying to call things in a different direction when it is not possible. 2007, 2008, we were senior enough. We actually went into tears because of what was happening, simply because there were disputes regarding an election. It therefore gives us a very heavy heart
to hear the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, calling that particular period as a Christmas season. And we should never, under any circumstance, ever have such words repeated in a country such as ours. And this is why we are saying nobody is above the law. The law must be called in, and if you commit a crime, you must be prosecuted, whether you are who or who. One such crime is when you go to actually make statements that are divisive, that are actually divisive to the people of Kenya. If you wish to make a cautionary statement, this is how you do it. And I hope he's listening, because he goes around bragging that people from a certain region, which he prefers to call Mlima, the Mount Kenya region, elected fools. I do not believe that any of us who comes from that region is a fool. And if we are fools, he's also one, because he was selected from that region. Madam Speaker, dividing the country, profiling the country is not good and cannot be encouraged at all. Mount Kenya is not inhabited by one community. It is inhabited by several communities. And we've always spoken of unity of that region as we emphasize unity of the entire country. So to isolate the rest of the communities, emphasize on one community, is actually to balkanize that community with a view to saying we will stand alone against the rest of the country. This is not encouraging, should be condemned in the strongest terms, and if law has been breached, we must have the culprits brought to book. We have always said this is how it's supposed to be done. You should listen to us. There is no problem with warning Kenyans that you should not rig elections. But we have always said, if you do so, we will meet you wherever the law provides we should be meeting. You will be dealt with in accordance with the law. There is nothing wrong with that. But to say that if you try to do this, we will bring turmoil, we will bring the country into war, it cannot be encouraged, because this is actually what caused the events of 2007, 2008. Therefore, as we move forward, and it has been demonstrated through the acts of His Excellency the President, that we would want to have a unitary country, a country that is united. And this is the message he is taking across the entire country. This is why he went on to craft the broad-based government. This is the reason why he is actually sending his deputy president across the country to bring the people together. We must therefore preach unity at all times, and we should never be seen at any one time to try, divide, balkanize, or profile the people of Kenya in their ethnic communities. I do support this, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Millie Odhiambo, member for Suba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I want to indicate at the onset that some of the issues that we are raising here for some people may sound like abstract ideas. I joined Parliament during or immediately after the post-election violence. Madam Speaker, I was part of a humanitarian committee for my party, ODM, that documented cases of post-election violence. Madam Speaker, I remember documenting cases of young girls in school uniform who had been shot by the police. I remember a woman who had the husband's head decapitated and had to carry the head to Kisumu. Madam Speaker, I remember people from Kisii who were displaced. Madam Speaker, I remember people who are from central Kenya but in the diaspora who are displaced. We went to a specific camp where people were all displaced, but they were in different camps. There was a camp that had predominantly the Kikuyus, and then there was a camp that had the Luos, Luyas, and the Kisis. They were all with the same problem, but for ethnic reasons, they had been balkanized. Madam Speaker, I know that the country he's in a mood for politicking. And, you know, and the tragedy in Kenya is we politic when we start politicking a day after elections. And for a stranger who would be visiting Kenya, you would actually think that the presidential elections are in 2 days' time. Madam Speaker, there's nothing wrong with that because Kenya is a fairly democratic country. But it is extremely unfortunate, Madam Speaker, if we can use language that would incite ethnic animosity and ethnic violence, that would create the kind of violence that we saw. Madam Speaker, the people who suffer in situations like that are women and children. Many women were raped and to date have not been compensated. Many children were killed. Madam Speaker, there's a young girl who has written a book which she gave to me, Madam Speaker. And in her book, she has documented that there were young children who were playing somewhere in the Rift Valley. And they were neighbors of all tribes. And her book is called Hop, Skip, and Jump. She was called Scholastica somebody. Madam Speaker, she documents how she changed from being an innocent child to looking at her neighbors from a tribal lens. She was raped, she underwent violation, and she lost her childhood. Madam Speaker, there are things we cannot afford to joke with or play with. Madam Speaker, I would want to encourage the Deputy President, former Deputy President, that I know is feeling very bitter at the way things stand around. Madam Speaker, he feels that he actually fought and brought this government into power. And I'm sure it can feel very bad when you feel that you brought the government into power, and now you are the one who is outside watching from view, Sasa. Madam Speaker, the way to go about it is not through bitterness and anger, because there's a point that leadership becomes beyond you. I know he's only served one term in Parliament, so he may not understand. And half a term as a Deputy President. But Speaker, there is always opportunities. Let him relax because he says he's a man of God, or at least he says his wife Dorcas is a woman of God. Let them appeal to God and use their godly words to bring unity to the country. There are things we don't joke around with, Madam Speaker. There are things we don't politic around with. And one of them is the peace and security of this country. In terms of sharing and having views and going around and talking to people, that's all very well. Kenya is a democratic country. But let's not ever dream about what happened in 2008. I know it was not in this Parliament, but some of us who are here went through post-traumatic stress disorder. And with those few remarks, I beg that we change our language.
Honorable Meli, member for Tinderet.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to also support the motion that our country has went through a lot of upheavals in 2007 is something that we all know. We saw over 1,000 people lost their lives, Madam Speaker. Thousands lost their properties across major cities in this country. The economic upheaval that came out of that election was as a result of anger, was a result of talks that actually incited communities against one another as a result of elections, purported elections stealing. Madam Speaker, I just want to say this, that as much as leaders, we want positions, as much as we want to have certain positions in society, we should always know that we do not get those positions at the expense of the peace and tranquility of our country. The late Vice President, Professor George Saitoti, did say that there is a time when a country is greater than ourselves. And I want all the leaders within, and I think the former Deputy President needs to know that. As said earlier on by the Deputy Party Whip, he must be a very bitter person. He must know that as much as we are bitter, as much as he's feeling sad, as much as he has been out of power, he should know that this country, called Kenya, will live beyond him. This country will outlive all of us. This country, we have a responsibility as current leaders to hand it over to the next generation. Madam Speaker, I just want to ask the National Cohesion, the CEO, that he needs to take action against individuals who have committed crimes that are actually inciting Kenyans against one another. A case in point, and I think this has been said, is when a number of members in this House, last Parliament, made utterances, and most of them were arrested, they were taken before courts, and they answered to their charges. This is not victimization. It is actually trying to bring order to this country, trying to tell leaders that they are supposed to talk responsibly. As much as you want positions in power, you know that you have a country to carry on. Our former deputy president knows very well that after serving 5, 10 years, for example, a leader will have to vacate office. The retired president is now in retirement, enjoying peace, enjoying tranquility. It is not proper for him to say that if he cannot get the position, then he has to ban the whole country, ban the people, bring the people down. It is quite immoral, it was wrong, it is illegal. 2, elections, Honorable Speaker, we have election disputes all over. We have the court system, from all the way from the High Court to the Supreme Court. And we know very well that there are timelines to solve cases. The Right Honorable Prime Minister has lost several cases. And it's very honorable enough for him that he has not banned this country. And is one of the longest people to have run for elections in this country. And I want to advise members, and even our colleagues in the House, that the fact that we are actually admonishing wrong talks, trying to ask leaders to speak the right way, is not that we are against the individual. We are telling him his utterances are wrong. He is a Kenyan like any other. He's supposed to make sure that what he utters, what he says, and what he preaches, even the issue of assisting through the Arambe system for the women and for all that, all those things we do in our society, and it has really assisted our member society. So I rise to support, and I want to say that actually the actions of the Deputy President were not right. I support the motion. Thank you.
Former Deputy President.
Former Deputy President, thank you.
The Honorable Russell, member for Saku.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this special motion by Honorable Junet. We come from 42 different nationalities in this nation, the many and the few. Those who have never had privileges of holding, let alone senior offices like deputy president or presidents, but they have lived in this country in peace. In 1982, I was just commissioned into the army, and I was involved in putting out that coup of 1982. In 2007, I was a senior officer in the army. If the army was going to be divided, then this country would have gone to the dogs. I like how some of our colleagues are able to talk with a lot of gusto about don't kill the messenger or don't kill the devil. If you give the wrong message and devilish messages, then you must be killed. There's no looking away. There are 3 offenses. If one commits, these are serious offenses in any country: espionage, sabotage, terrorism. What we are hearing over our media, both social, print, and the open media and televisions, actually is both espionage and sabotage. When somebody can say on an open media that Kenya was involved in Sudan conflict, and these are our neighbors, we are with them in IGAD, and also we are part of the Africa Union, it simply means that you are putting Kenya at crossroad, and also you are pitting Kenya against other states. Madam Speaker, I am a Muslim, I am not a Christian. But our Christian brothers and sisters must not allow that pulpit, the churches are houses of God. They are houses of worship. They should not be used to divide this country, and they should not be used as playground of vitriol and for anybody to badmouth other leaders. There are different avenues where we are able to raise our voices. But what is happening now is going to divide Kenya right across the middle and pitting us against each other. The Rwanda genocide was actually instigated by one small radio called Radio Millie Collins. Initially, when they were fanning out a lot of vitriol and hate speech and incitement, people were kind of celebrating because they were on that side. But as soon as killing happened, nobody knew who was going to be spared. I think Kenya is bigger than that. If anybody wants to change leadership in this country, every 5 years we go for elections. Let people wait for their time. On the presidency, at any one time, there's only one president in Kenya. We have had late President Kenyatta, Mwai Kibaki, Moi, and Uhuru Kenyatta. They served their time and they walked away. Anybody who believes that Ruto must go away, then they must remove them through an election. Not what was staged on 26th of June last year, which in itself was an attempted coup, and we tried to look away. With those I support, and I think we must call this to an end. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Igembe North. He has left. Okay. The Honorable Owen Bayer. I see you on the list.
Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the motion by the Honorable Junet Mohammed. Honorable Speaker, the events of 2007 are very fresh in my mind, Honorable Speaker. And when I hear somebody speak about them in such flowery language that it would be like a Christmas party, Honorable Speaker, that really pushes a chill down my spine. Because in 2007, when the post-election violence just started, I was in Mwatate, Honorable Speaker, and my family, my wife, and my 2 children, and one of them was just half a year old. Honorable Speaker, when now people started saying, kila mtu aende kwao, and I had to travel all the way from Mwatate to Voi to Kilifi. Getting transport to move from Mwatate was one of the most horrendous things that I have ever gone through with a six-month-old baby, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I remember we boarded a lorry that was carrying cabbages, and we were thrown at the back just to be protected so that we were not seen, because we were, at that particular time, we were Giriamas and we were in Taita. Look at that, Honorable Speaker, citing one community against the other. And we go to Voi. At Voi, we tried to get transport to get to Mombasa. Honorable Speaker, it was difficult. At that moment when we were there, a van that was selling newspapers, carrying nation newspapers, came by and stopped. And they said, we will take you to Voi, give us 10,000 shillings. And Honorable Speaker, we didn't have the money. But one gentleman there said, "Huyu mwalimu namjua." I was a teacher then. And they bundled us, myself, my wife, our 3-year-old girl, and the 6-month baby. And we were bundled behind where the newspapers were. There was no oxygen, there was nothing. I remember my 3-year-old daughter actually passed out because we were being carried behind that van. And that van traversed, couldn't go through Mombasa because there were chaos in Mombasa. And we had to go through Mariakani, that route. There was no tarmac then. It was a rough road. And we went through Kaloleni until we go to Kilifi. Honorable Speaker, what I will never forget is when we got to a place called Mtondia in Kilifi. And that road had been barricaded. Because at that time, Mtondia was a place where very many Luos were staying. And the Giriamas at that time were saying the Luos must go back home. Honorable Speaker, I watched death approach my family. People came with pangas, hitting that vehicle, saying, "Who is being carried inside here? They must get out." And we got out, Honorable Speaker, shaken, with a 6-month-old baby and a 3-year-old girl out there. Just one old man said, "I know the father of this man." And that is how we were saved from death, Honorable Speaker. So when a leader stands up to remind us that if elections won't go this way or that way, Honorable Speaker, this 2007 will look at like a Christmas party. Honorable Speaker, when I hear someone say it will look like a Christmas party, I don't understand what kind of a mind that one is. And that is a person that calls himself a leader. Honorable Speaker, that person must remain condemned. Honorable Speaker, I seconded the motion of his impeachment when it came to this motion. But I think it is not enough, Honorable Speaker. I think Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua must be brought back to this House for another impeachment. Because the kind of things that he's talking about, the kind of things that he's inciting Kenyans against Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, we need to hold this country together. This country must remain united, and never again will one tribe be set against another. What Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua is doing is to try to set the tribes against one another, such that he sees himself as a leader of one section, one tribe in this country against the other Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, that can never happen. The Kikuyu people are good people. They're all over the country. We love them, we respect them, we marry them, they marry from us. And we have integrated. But you cannot sit, Honorable Speaker, and say, you know, I am the leader of these people, and therefore I cannot allow even a musician to visit. Next time, Honorable Speaker, he will tell the people in my constituency, the Kikuyus in my constituency, don't go and visit Owen Baya because he's Giriama and you're Kikuyu. So, Honorable Speaker, we can never get to that level, never. And we should not allow it to happen. Honorable Speaker, one Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua is out of order. And what he is doing is dangerous for this country, is dangerous in the fabric of this country, Honorable Speaker. And I want to ask NCIC to act. They have a law. They have powers. They need to come out of their cocoon and act. We cannot, if we allow one person to make those utterances, another person will also pick it up, another leader will also pick it up, it will become a chorus, and this country will go to the dogs. And I want to ask Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, the man that I once hosted in my home for lunch, stop what you're doing. You're out of order and you must come out as a leader. And if you think this space is not enough for you, stay at home at Wamunyoro, take care of your children and your wife and your goats and cows, and leave this country to be led by those people that are capable of doing it. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I think the Speaker had given us up to what time? What? 5:30. Okay. So I guess we'll stop there. Yes, what's your point of order, Honorable Jeanette?
Madam Speaker, I want to, on behalf, as having been the person who moved the motion, Madam Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence to thank members for their contribution. Madam Speaker, the contributions have been very, very huge. And Madam Speaker, the members have spoken on behalf of Kenyans as representatives of people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, having said that, I want to also invite you to the Constitution under Article 73, Madam Speaker, which says 73.3, a person who has been dismissed or otherwise removed from office for a contravention of the provisions specified in Clause 2 is disqualified from holding any other state office, Madam Speaker. So we are going to take this matter forward. We are either going to bring a special motion to the House, or we are going to bring a petition to the House, Madam Speaker, in accordance with the Constitution, Article 73.2, to declare and to pass on the floor of this House that one, Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua cannot hold any other public office in the Republic of Kenya, maybe in Tanzania or Uganda or South Africa or Somalia. So, Madam Speaker, because even being a party leader, Madam Speaker, a party that intends to get money from the exchequer under the Political Parties Act, you become a state officer. Even that, he cannot be even a political party leader in this country for that village party that he has formed, the district commissioners party. So, Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to thank all members for their contribution, and this is the way to go. It is our responsibility to defend and uphold the Constitution. Madam Speaker, the first day we appeared in this House, the first thing we did was to take an oath of office, which said we must uphold and defend the Constitution. Defending Kenyans from anarchy, violence, disruption of their livelihoods is part and parcel of defending the Constitution. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and may God bless Kenya.
Okay, we go to the next order. I think we are resuming the Honorable Wango is. Okay. Honorable Wango, you still have 37 minutes. Yes, I don't know if you're done or do you want just to reply?
Next.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Point of order, Madam Speaker. I'm seeking for a point of order, understanding order number 35, that we have no quorum.
Okay, I direct that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes.
Correct.
This guy could not even raise 6 senators.
Let me call.